Hey, you guys, welcome back. As promised, we're working through this month of non clinical content covering research topics this week. But as I promised, I will be doing a study round during the week as we review. So, I do the videos so you can get the information on those topics. Then we work through practice questions to gauge your knowledge. But for this month, my series will be just doing repetitive style because there's so much terminology with non-clinical content. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through so that you can study along. So if you need to, go ahead and get you some paper now, flashcards, whatever you want to do, get that stuff, pause the video, whatever, so that when we get into it, you can walk through it with me and study along, okay? All right. And this is the same I'm just going through the same content from the topics video. So yes, it's going to look the same, but it's the study round, you guys. But as always, I give a disclaimer that this information is simply to help you guys, nurse practitioners, be successful on boards as well as in practice. This is not an end all be all. This is just to help you as you navigate through. But again, grab your study tools that you need, your pens, your highlighters, your different color pens, your paper, your flashcards, whatever you're going to do. Okay. All right, let's get to it. So, we discussed relative risk. So, when studying, especially with terminology, I'm going to tell you my recommendation. First, I want you to read it. Read it to yourself so you can kind of grasp what it is actually saying, what the term is saying, what the definition is, right? Then I want you to write it down. If you want to do flashcards, write it on a flashcard and use it to test your knowledge. Me, I like to do notebooks because it helps me to quickly refer back. I can take it wherever. I can jot down a little bit more. And as far as testing myself, um, I like to do flashcard sheets also, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But I recommend doing a little bit of all. It's never too much. The more repetition that you do, the better. Okay. So let's read it together. And if you are using this to study, because also a format that I do with things is just listening to things repetitively. So that's why I want to talk through it with you so that I can play it over and over. So if you need a little bit more detail of it, you can check out the video from earlier this week, but this is for studying purposes. Okay, so relative risk, we're reading it, right? So relative risk is the ratio of the probability of an event occurring in an exposed group compared to the probability of an event occurring in a non-exposed group. Okay? So again, and I'm big on doing things in threes, right? So relative risk is the ratio of the probability of an event occurring in an exposed group compared to the probability of it occurring to a non-exposed group. And one more time. Relative risk is the ratio of the probability of an event occurring in an exposed group compared to the probability of the event occurring in a non-exposed group. And I give an example and all of that in the other video, but I'm just trying to get you to get these definitions in your mind. Think of examples, like I said, I talked about the COVID example in that other video, but let's get this through. So read it so that you can understand what the term is saying, what the definition is really relaying here. And now I want you to write that down and write it down 3 times so that you are not only just reading it and trying to understand it, you're hearing me say it, so listening to it 3 times, but also writing it 3 times. Now, while you sit and write this 3 times, I also want you to think, so when I say flashcard sheets, and this is because I know, like with busy lifestyles and busy schedule, I had to find things that I can incorporate learning as I always go, as I'm going. Because sometimes it's like, hey, I can set aside a time to study for an hour in the morning, blah, 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 blah. But to stay on top of things, like, so say if we're covering something else this morning, then as I go through the day, I still would like to refresh and build on things. So I like flashcard sheets because it allows me to do that without having to do anything extra. So, like, as I'm writing, I would also have a separate sheet that says maybe research on top, and then put define relative risk. That will be number one, right? And as we go through the other terms, I would add those like experiment, define quasi-experiment. You know what I mean? And so this sheet, I call it a flashcard sheet because it's like a big flashcard, just a regular sheet of paper. And I write all those questions on the front. I put the answers on the back, and I hang those up around my house, right? So what I would do is on my closet door, I would have it on there. I would have it on my refrigerator. I would have it on the master bathroom door. And I would also have it, like, I would put one in my purse and one in my car. I know this sounds crazy, but I put it areas that I would go to frequently. So throughout the day, so you're going in your closet to find clothes. Every time I would have to go in that closet, I would have to answer those questions. If I got stuck, I would flip up the paper and look at the answer on the back. And then the next time I will come, get it right that time, okay? Every time you go in that bathroom, answer it. Every time you take your butt to that refrigerator to get something to eat, I had to answer the questions. I had to do stuff to make myself, as I am going through my day, like call out to me versus, hey, let's go sit down and study. I can do it. It kept me active in my studying through the day. And I do that with everything. And so in my purse and in my car, it was so say you're stuck in traffic. I have small children. So the car ride a line, drop off, pick up, you're sitting and you're waiting. And, you're so busy. It's like, all right, I could be doing something else. So I would play the audio in the car, review videos and things like that. And then I would quiz myself on stuff like that. So flashcards are good with that. But when it's stuff like this, it is a bunch of group things. It just made it easier for me just to grab something, one big scenario that I was covering. So that's what I do with flashcard sheets. So again, we read the relative risk 3 times. You have now written it 3 times, and you've heard me say it 3 times. Now, I want you to take a moment and say it to me 3 times. And yeah, you're going to feel crazy. And your family might think you're crazy too, but hey, we on a mission, right? So, mission to pass boards, right? So, get it. Go ahead and say it. All right. And in the beginning, you guys, you'll probably be really just reading it out loud 3 times again until you get it. But trust me, there's always a method to my madness. Trust me, it sounds crazy. You may look crazy, but again, we're here on a mission. All right. Next, we have qualitative and quantitative research. So, qualitative research is more of the subjective data. Again, on video earlier this week, I went more into this, but the qualitative is really just gathering that analytical data that is not numerical. Okay. So, things like interviews and focus groups, right? So, the qualitative is the one that's more subjective and it's not numerical, right? You're gathering the data, you're analyzing data that is non numerical, such as interviews and focus groups. One more time, qualitative research is more subjective data, is non numerical, and it is like an interview or focus groups. Quantitative data, quantitative research, I should say, is more, I tell you to think quantity. It is measurable, typically numerical. Okay. You think of things of quantity, so that data in a numerical stance, those percentages, that is quantitative research. Again, quantitative research, think quantity, it's numerical, it's measurable data, things such as percentages. And one more time, quantitative research, I want you to think things that are measurable, they're numerical. Think of quantity, things such as percentages of the data. All right. Now, y'all take a moment, write those 2 terms down, write the definitions 3 times. And then on that flashcard sheet that we're starting, under number 1 where it says define relative risk, I want you to write number 2, define qualitative and quantitative research. And I don't want to make this video too long by pausing through this. So I'll say if you're sitting and doing this, just pause the video and write. And then the next step, I want you to say these terms 3 times. And really, this is more of a short and sweet way, so you can just say 3 times. Qualitative research is more subjective, is non-numerical. Thinking interview, thinking focus groups. Quantitative research is measurable and numerical. Thinking quantity, thinking of percentages. Say that to yourself, okay? Now, the hierarchy pyramid, I want you to stop, pause, listen. Get ready to draw this out, because I'm telling you, you need to get this into your mind. This is your foundation, and I stress it over and over and over again. This is the foundation of it all. And this will help you to understand the strengths and weaknesses in an easy layout. So, again, I'll talk about it in the video earlier the week that you'll see me go through all of these research topics and why they're stronger and what that includes and all of those things. But here, as you're studying, I simply want you to just run through it, right? So we have systematic reviews, randomized control trials, cohort studies, case control studies, case series and case reports, and lastly, editorials and expert opinions. Right? So it's 6 themes, right? So systematic reviews, randomized control trials, cohort studies, case control studies, case series and case reports, and then lastly, editorials and expert opinions. SRCCCE. All right, one more time. So systematic reviews, randomized control trials, cohort studies, case control studies, case series and case reports, and editorials and expert opinions. Now, I want you to draw a triangle. Make it large enough where you can have the 6 sections, and then I want you to write all 6 of those in order, starting from the top being strongest to weakest, and do that 3 times. And then I want you to take a moment and 3 times to read all of those to yourself. Well, I should say out loud, but to yourself to know it, okay? All right. So as you're writing and saying it out loud, let's see if I can think of something. I used to say something different. I'm trying to think of a easier way to retain it. Brittany's brilliance, my brain always goes to something else. So we have systematic reviews, randomized control trials, cohort studies, case control, case series, and editorials and expert opinions. So there's 6 of those. So stop random cohorts controlling case series in the editorials. I know that sounds crazy, but that can help. So, all right, let me say it again. Stop being the systematic reviews. Stop random cohorts controlling case series in the editorials. So stop for systematic reviews, random for the randomized control trial, cohort for the cohort series, controlling for case control studies, case series for case series and case reports, in the editorials and expert opinions. So hopefully that helps. For Brittany's brilliance. Come on, Brittany. All right. Look, I need to be Brittany's brilliance are like freestyles in the medicine world, right? Stop random cohorts controlling case series in the editorials. All right, I know that's corny, crazy, but if it works, it works, and thank me later. All right, yep, I hype myself up. Stop random cohorts controlling case series in the editorials. I need to write that down. All right, y'all write that out. Tell me if it helped you study. Hype me up in the comments if it's helping you. All right, y'all. Sorry. All right, I get hype all by myself. So again, know this because again, from the top is the strongest. Editorials, expert opinions are the weakest. Top systematic reviews are the strongest, right? So I need you to know that. So as you're navigating through and looking at the credibility and validity and reliability of your of research sources and topics, this is how to figure that out. So stop random cohorts controlling case series in the editorials. Boom. All right, next term, experimental. So experimental, think, what are experiments? We're just experimenting, right? So that's random sampling is used to conduct experiments. So just randomly testing something, randomly experimenting. So experimental, random sampling used to conduct experiment. One more time. Experimental, random sampling used to conduct experiments. Now take a moment, write it 3 times, add that to the list on your flashcard sheet along with that hierarchy pyramid because I didn't say that last time. So number 3 should be draw that triangle and say what are the 6 things in order from strongest to weakest on the hierarchy pyramid. And then number 4 should be define experimental. All right, quasi-experimental. This is not randomized and it's a controlled experiment. So it's controlled but not random. So as I discussed in the original video, going through this as you're studying, so with quasi-experimental, it's not like with a standard experiment where you are just randomly trying something, but it is controlled. So group A has been given 10 milligrams of the blood pressure medicine. Group B has been given 20 milligrams. We're still experimenting to see what the results are, but we're controlling it. But it's not just random. Hey, you had this, you had that. So quasi-experimental is not random. It's a controlled experiment. Quasi-experimental is not randomized, but it's a controlled experiment. Write that 3 times. Say it 3 times and add it as number 5 on your flashcard sheet to define quasi-experimental. And lastly, root cause analysis. Root cause analysis is an approach designed to break down and analyze the cause of an adverse event. Root cause analysis is an approach designed to break down and analyze the cause of an adverse event. Root cause analysis is an approach designed to break down and analyze the cause of an adverse event. Now, write that down 3 times. Add that to your as the last thing on the research section of your flashcard sheet, and then read it out loud 3 times until you have learned it enough to be able to just recite it out loud without reading. All right. So, I discussed this in another video, but this is everything from research that we have covered for the week. I want you to continue to study that, continue to write it out, continue to say it out loud, continue to review on your flashcard sheet because repetition is what is going to get these terms ingrained, okay? And next week, we'll start on those cultural topics of the non-clinical section as well as the ethics and legal issues is what we're covering for next week. So get ready for that and meet me back here. But as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share with whomever you may think will find this helpful. And then meet me back here next week for more reviewing, more repetition of the study topics and terms. And let's be successful on boards as well as in practice. Bye, y'all.